What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. The day has finally arrived. Jonathan Hickman G.O.D.S, issue number 1. This has been a highly anticipated comic. Throughout many of the Marvel titles, we have seen little highlights here and there, trying to introduce us to the characters, to see what we're going to be getting into, what we're going to be messing with. And Jonathan Hickman has been reinventing the cosmos of the Marvel Universe. We have the powers that be. They meet the natural order of things. And as we dive into this comic, we're gonna find out exactly what all that means. The story gonna be focusing around Winn, the one and singular avatar of the powers that be. And if I'm being honest, this guy feels a lot like John Constantine or Manchester Black, just on a much bigger scale. Jonathan Hickman also said that this was going to be his Sandman. Now, I'm not sure if it really meets that level, but we're gonna find out. So, make sure you guys have subscribed to the channel, make sure that you like this video, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are picking up with Stephen Strange and Winn. Right now, they are on the precipice of what they call a Babylon event, with Stephen going on to say that he is too old for this. But when you're talking to Winn, that is laughable. This is because Winn is roughly 1,000 years old, and he tells Stephen Strange that you're not old, I am old, you're just tired. But Stephen goes on to say that all of this, it just wears on him. The endless war between good and evil, the part that they play in it. And all of Stephen Strange's life, he believes that he has fought for the light, for hope, for life. He believes that this is who he is to the very core. But Winn has been along live enough to think that this is just wishful thinking. That all of that sounds great, it sounds nice, it's a great speech. But you didn't really answer the question. He says that he is good. And turning to Winn, he does ask him, are you good or are you evil? And after all of these years, Winn poses the question, can you really even tell the difference anymore? This is where our story jumps 10 years into the past. We pick up with Aiko, and right now she sits at a bar. She is waiting for the arrival of Winn. While she sits, she has a discussion with the bartender, who she is and what role she plays. But we're gonna get into who she is exactly later on in the comic. While she sits and waits, this is where we pick up with Winn and Demitri. Now, Demitri carries a kind of tablet, if you will. This is an electronic device that gives him statistics, it gives him knowledge. It really is like a giant encyclopedia in the palm of your hand. An encyclopedia of everything. Mystical, magic, anything you can think of. But they have come to investigate something. As they make their way inside of this place, they see a lavish party going on. They have invited users of the craft, and as they get inside, they make their introductions. Demitri being the first one to speak. He says that he is the proxy in service of the natural order of things, and the chained apprentice of the one and only avatar of the powers that be. The avatar of the powers to be is none other than Winn. So it appears that Demitri is tied to Winn. And I think Demitri is one of the more interesting characters, because as we dive into this, we're gonna see that the natural order of things and the powers that be, these two have been at odds with one another for eons. How Demitri came into this role, how he became the chained apprentice, all of this is yet to be divulged. But this is Jonathan Hickman really expanding on everything that is Marvel to things that we never even knew could be. As they have this discussion, the hosts, they go ahead and they ask for their invitations, finding it very odd that they are here without any mask on, all of that good stuff. But Winn goes on to say that they were not invited, they were sent. You see, the two hosts were doing something that they weren't supposed to do. These two are the Baron and the Baroness of Wolverhampton, Lord of the Land and Lady of the Lake. Telling them to take off the mask, they reveal the Lion of the Wolves, an individual with a fox head and the woman with a piranha head. The purpose of this party is to set a trap. They invite all of the local magical pretenders of means. They cast a low-level incantation, and when everybody is having a good time, they pick their victim. They make them a meal. And the two of them, they go on to plea with Winn, telling him that it has only been a few souls, that they have always been careful on who they choose. choose. They only pick the worst, the rotten apples. And even then, they only take a small portion. There are occasions where they do get carried away though. Now, the current position on all of this is that they don't really interfere with this kind of stuff. These are minor infractions, stuff that they usually look the other way on. But inside the building, there is something more. They have been messing with things that they shouldn't be messing with, because they are picking up readings of a planar demon. Asking where the demon is, they tell him that it is in the bathroom. And so when Wynn goes into the bathroom, they sit and they wait. He calls out to the demon. He lets it know that we know you're here. And though everybody loves a vacation, it is time for you to go back. That he can go willingly back to his own realm, or they can do this the old-fashioned way. The demon saying that he is going nowhere. Coming out of the hiding, this is when it grabs hold of Wynn. It wraps him up, asking Demitri for a little bit of help. Demitri sitting on the wall just hanging out, reading off of his device. This is a chaos demon. The age of it is 650,000 years old, but it does have a weakness. The weakness is removing its heart, and that's exactly what we see Wynn do. But when he removes the heart, what it does is nothing. This only angers the demon more. Demitri saying that he made a mistake, it has 2 hearts. And so with Wynn struggling to take this monster down, he is successful in doing so, and we pick up a little bit later. This is just an average day for Wynn, but Wynn is now arriving at the bar to meet up with Aiko, telling Demitri that he needs to wait outside. Wynn goes into the bar, he sits down next to his beloved, because today they are celebrating. She got a promotion, a new title, new responsibilities. She wanted to sit down with Wynn and have a conversation about this, because everything is about to change for her, including their relationship. She tells Wynn that last year, she figured out who he really was. Now Wynn, he's a smooth-talking man. He does his best to try and play this off like he doesn't actually know what she means. He's suave, he's slick, he's definitely the kind of guy that you would want to be. And while he may be great with words, this doesn't deter her from saying, I know who you really are. His real name is Sir Redwyn, Lord of the Highlands, Root of the World Tree, Salt of the Earth. At best, their records show that he is 1,000 years old, and he is the sole avatar of the powers that be. The problem with this is that Wynn never told his wife, and he tries to smoothly play this off, just saying that it never really came up, but now it is. The reason that she found out is because of the lab that she started working for, but it is much more than a lab. This is not to say that they don't do real research, but that's all just a cover for the recruitment program. The place that she's working for, it definitely gave her a lot of information, almost an endless sea of information. If she had a question, there was an answer. You just had to dive into the research, hidden records, archival data. But the real purpose of the lab, what's the real order of the universe? What is the natural order of things? Who are the powers that be? And it comes all the way down to the 2 of them. One of them working for the natural order of things, the other, the powers that be. With Wynn going on to say that he loves her new outfit, that he will say this about the Centaurs: they always look sharp. What they offered her was the 97th. The last prime of the Centum. He tells her that that is great. He gives her congratulations, saying that she truly does deserve it. But the way she sees it, this is not great. And Wynn does ask, how is that? I'm the Avatar. You're a Centaur, equally yoked and happily ever after. What could be wrong with this? What's wrong with it is that they are at war, but it's really more of a détente, a strained relationship. In the layman's terms, they're not friends, but they will work together if it is a necessity. She goes on to ask Wynn to explain all of this. She has learned that every godly power in the universe has an opposite, and all of those oppositional gods share a lesser abstract among them, a way for them to work together even though their very nature makes them adversarial. All of the gods have this, except for theirs. Do they really hate each other this much? What is she missing? And Wynn kind of blows this off and says, how about you just don't tell them about us? How about we keep this a little bit of a secret? The problem is, Wynn is very known. and the stipulation for her to join up is that she has to sever herself from Wynn, one way or another. They are making her choose. They are making her choose between the opportunity to become basically immortal or have mortality and love a good man. But she does come up with an idea that maybe, just maybe, you could give it up. You could stop being the Avatar. You have lived so many lives. Maybe you could quit, and then she could have both. But this isn't what she really wants him to do. She has seen the records. He is very good at what he does. Plus, they both know the fine print. Once you're in, there is no way out. The only logical answer, the two of them must get a divorce. And again, Wynn goes on to say that we could just pretend. We could say that we get a divorce, but not actually do it, and still be together in secret. But he is the one singular avatar of the powers that be. She is one of the 100 of the natural order of things. He may not be expendable, but she is, which means if they got caught, they would probably take her out. She says that she will send the papers over, and Wynn tells her that if you do that, I'm not gonna sign them. I'll burn them. I will never accept this. And she says that this is more important than the both of them, but he would disagree. He has been around long enough to know that none of this truly matters. That our love, that is what truly matters to him. But one way or another, he is going to find a way to quit. He has always hated his job anyway. And she says that they said you would say that. They predicted it. The theorists among the natural order of things. They put together the odds. A return to war with the powers that be is at 84% unless certain things happen. And Wynn is one of the biggest factors in avoiding that war. Some theorists think that this is why she was chosen anyway. Some of the Centum think that this was the sole reason that she was recruited in the first place. Either way, neither of them have a choice. He tells her that he loves her, but he still holds firm that he will be signing nothing. This is where we see her manifest a pistol in her hand, saying that it is a declaration then. But just know that I love you too. That's when she pulls up the gun and she shoots him right in the head. Demitri standing over the body. She tells Demitri to make sure you bury him somewhere nice. This is what picks us up 10 years later. We pick up with Wynn and Demitri. They have shown up at the Sanctum. They are here to meet Dr. Strange. This is a meeting of everybody. We see Wong open up the Library of Worlds. This is a place that Wynn is not very fond of. But as they make their arrival, we have Stephen Strange, the Sorcerer Supreme. He is addressing everybody. He is saying that the world is on the verge of ending. The only hope is everybody that is gathered in this room. Every living thing that calls this world home. They are looking to them for salvation. And a Babylon event has begun. He goes on to say that when he had found the Guardian twins blinded and the infernal glyph over which they stood sentinel stolen, he dove deep. But these were the last images that had been burned into his mind. It appears that the proto-mage Cubis Core, long thought dead, who disappeared years ago, he is seemingly returned at the apex of his strength. How and why, they do not know. But what they do know is that he carries the staff of the Living Tribunal. This is when the second Centaur of the Centum, he comes before them, saying that there is more news. He supports the Sorcerer Supreme's assertion, but there is a darker picture at play, with Demitri making a snide remark that Aiko is here. What we are shown is footage from 2 hours ago, a hidden aim station in New York. It was a containment facility for the long-dormant former Hell technology. What we are witnessing is the Prometheus Pit being activated. Cubis Core going on to say that when his god made the universe, he placed each of them in a box. Many cannot see the box, the idea of it, the shape of it, but the box is their home. And they all hate it. All of existence, all of reality inside of it. They love the dream. They hate the box. But he is here to destroy the dream, to wake them from their slumber. The scientists, in all of their curiosity, they drilled a hole into existence, looking for exotic matter, never asking the question, what do my actions lead to? The feed ends there with the casting of a spell and the Prometheus Pit opening up. The spell that they heard was an Elder Pantheon breach. And this is the real power of the staff of the Living Tribunal. The user and the staff can write a spell and rewrite reality in a continuum. This leaves no room for a counterspell. The only weakness is that it requires an enormous amount of energy. This has obviously been solved by accessing a dying universe through the Prometheus Pit. They are looking at a perfect feedback loop of creation and destruction, a closed circle, an endless cycle, that this is in fact a Babylon event. As they go on to discuss that they are going to do a full frontal assault, this is the only way to take all of this down. This is when Wen tells Demitri that they're getting out of here. And Demitri going on to ask, why are we not going? Why are we leaving everybody behind? But Wen says that everybody in that room, they're so dramatic, telling Demitri to pick up a penny. That penny is a John Wilkes Booth penny, and he knows that he can trade this for something good. And so while Wen goes on his little adventure, we pick up with everybody arriving to take on G.O.D.S, unleashing his power. We see the monsters come out. As they battle to save the world, we pick up at the collector's collection. He has brought the penny here. He has come to trade it. He is trading it for a clock and a book. With making this trade, they head over to the Contemplator's Garden. They give the clock up as a gift, and in return, they get a gift as well. There are 4 vases in front of them, each a container of a rare and precious gift. And so, taking one, they go ahead and they go to the next place. This is what takes us to the Possessor's Vault. Inside of that vase was a key, and they give this key to the Possessor. In giving this key, they go and get the contents out of the security box. While they sit and wait, this is where Demitri goes ahead and asks what that book was about, as the device in his hand begins to let him know what that book is. Wen shuts off the device. He says, don't listen to that, listen to me. All you really need to know, it is one of the most powerful things that you could ever find in the entire history of magic, that it shouldn't be in that man's collection. It is a book that needs to be protected, but with the Possessor returning with the security box. Inside, what we find is a Kree translocator, point-to-point teleportation, one that is attuned to this exact place. When asked what Wen is going to do with that, he says don't worry about it, and then he disappears. Now everybody that is fighting against G.O.D.S, this is a fight that they are not winning. They are getting their butts kicked, as G.O.D.S puts up what he calls the final farewell to the natural order of things. We see many people just absolutely decimated. They are losing this battle. This is where we pick up at the Grand Bazaar of the Trader. This is where Wen and Demitri, they run into Stephen Strange. This is where Demitri goes on to ask, why is Stephen Strange here? Why is the Sorcerer Supreme here? Why aren't you out there fighting the battle? Like, I get why Wen is here. He's a self-absorbed disaster. But Stephen Strange is supposed to be saving the world. There was a plan. He gave a whole speech. Stephen says that the speech was for the children. They would be taking direct action, while the adults, they seek a more effective, symmetrical solution. Often this is called solving the actual problem. Asking why they are there, Demitri has no idea, but they are here for the same reason that Stephen is. They are here for the portal, offering up the translocator. This is more than a sufficient trade, especially considering it is located directly at the Possessor's vault. This is when they all go into the portal, but when he lets Stephen Strange go in first. You know, a just in case, just to make sure. Once Stephen goes in, Wen and Demitri, they follow behind. And as they arrive amidst all the chaos. Everybody is tied up or dead. This is a fight that they surely lost, with G.O.D.S going on to say that he has broken the natural order of things, upset the balance, ended the dream of the dreamers, that it is only fitting that he brings the powers that be to heal, that his master has a box just for the Avatar. As Wen jumps into this fight, we see Wen get wrapped up, that special book falling right out of his coat, with the pages flipping open. Demitri freaks out, screaming to Wen, the gods, that the book, he dropped the book. This is when Cubis goes over to the book, noticing that it is a thing of power, a book of lore, maybe even some hidden knowledge. He begins to read secrets that were long dead. But as he reads this book, this is when he drops down to the ground. Dropping to the ground, that is when wind smashes in his face. The battle has been won. The day is theirs. And this is what picks us up where this comic had started off, with Steven saying that he is too old for this. But we also get some more detail. What Wynn had did was using the bush cup. He had told Demitri exactly what he needed to hear so that Demitri would make a fuss at the right time. You see, that book, once you read it, the longer you read it, the more it eats your mind. And once you start, you can't break free. Someone else has to stop you from reading it. And as Stephen Strange goes on to say that he is good, asking Wynn if he is good or evil. Wynn saying who can tell the difference anymore, because he sure can't, and he has seen it all. That maybe it's time to give up the romantic notions that they are doing the right thing for the right reasons. There is an endless war between good and evil, but the real problem is that it has been going on for so long. All these people that they fight for, all the people that do fight, they don't care about good and evil anymore. They just care about the trench warfare of winning today's encounters. If it costs their souls, then so be it. But then they have to ask themselves, why are they fighting so hard to save something that is already lost? The truth is, Wynn doesn't have faith anymore. To him, it is all pointless. It is all pain. If there is anything that he knows, it is this. This is when Aiko comes up to him and she gives him a kiss, thanking him for saving the day. We see Wynn blush a little bit, and then he says, then again, he could be wrong. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. This was a big issue, roughly 62 pages long. This was one heck of a comic. Now, there are many things inside of this comic that we don't really understand yet. Now, in the grand scope of the Marvel Universe, people like the Avengers, they all look to Stephen Strange, the Sorcerer Supreme, for things that are outside of their understanding or capacity. Whether it be other realms, whether it be magic, all of these different things. And so if we go into this with that understanding, then we see that Wynn is an expansion of that, possibly even more so than the Sorcerer Supreme, because we have seen Stephen Strange and Wynn, they have been friends for a very long time. Even in the 5,000-year war, we saw Wynn make his appearance. And if you don't know much about the 5,000-year war, I highly recommend that you go and check out the Doctor Strange series that is currently ongoing, which it does cover all of that stuff. But these two have had a kind of working relationship. What this is really expanding on is that they're more out there than just the gods that we know of. There are gods out there that have been playing on a much bigger scale, on a scale that our Avengers and everybody else, they just don't see. Now, this is dangerous writing because it can go one of two ways. This can become heavily convoluted to where there's just too much going on and nobody understands anything. But there is the possibility that this expands in great ways. Now, an example of this is supposed to be a Babylon event. And what we learn is that Wynn's like, yeah, these guys are always so dramatic. They draw up the hysteria, they make a big deal of things, but the truth is, I just needed to go make a few trades, have this guy read a book, and we won the day. And even Doctor Strange goes on to say that, yeah, that fight is going on, but that's all for show. What I'm doing, that's the real work. That's what we should be doing. We'll let them fight on the front, but we're gonna be solving the problem right here doing all of this stuff. And I say that because that could be dangerous. Saying that Stephen Strange, individuals like Wynn, when a big event like a Babylon event does happen, what you're saying is that the Avengers, everybody fighting, the deaths that happen, they're essentially meaningless and pointless. Because you have individuals like Wynn and Strange who are actually putting in the work. The ones that are actually making a difference and changing things or stopping evil or dangerous powers. But that doesn't mean that this story doesn't have great potential. Is this going to be Hickman's Sandman, I think that is still very much up for debate. I wasn't overly impressed with this issue, but I did very much enjoy it. I like the expansion. I like Wynn as a character, though it definitely feels like John Constantine or Manchester Black. Either way, I am very excited to learn more about the powers that be, about the natural order of things, about all of these different gods that apparently exist, but exist outside of the knowing or understanding of everybody in the Marvel Universe, outside of those that would know, like Doctor Strange and Wynn, that these are forces so much bigger than anything we have ever seen. In the grand scheme of things, in comparison to the gods, the Avengers are nothing more than ants. That the Avengers and all the events are more like child's playthings. But we're gonna see where this story goes. But let me know your thoughts, let me know your theories. If you would like to get caught up on anything that we have covered on this channel, I highly recommend that you check out all of our playlists. From Marvel to DC, from indie comics to everything else in between. We got a little of everything, anything that you could want in the comic book realm. If you would like to support the channel, you can always do so by joining the channel membership. Much like Patreon, having multiple different tiers, from $1 to $50, from loyalty badges to comics every single month. Not only are you helping out the channel tremendously, but you are getting tons of perks in the process. Now, if you're unable to do this, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like that video, hit that notification bell, and with that being said, until the next breakdown.